What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and welcome to episode 124, 124, my folks. And, well, this is usually my least favorite episode of the sports calendar. This is the episode where I come to the outskirts of the city to preside over a memorial service. This is the postseason post-mortem episode, the Autopsy episode for a Lakers season that now is set to be buried. As the great Richard Pryor once said, the dirt, get to the dirt. And so we'll get to it. We've got a lot to get to. In fact, my folks, we've got series analysis of that first round beat down at the hands of the Timberwolves. And, well, I'm going to give you my overarching takeaways from this Lakers season. We're going to grade out the primary players in the Lakers drama. And, well, we've also got a mea culpa of sorts. And so before we get to all of that, I'd like to start this episode with a disclaimer. The following episode contains controversial ideas and language. It may be triggering to some. Therefore, viewer discretion and parental guidance is suggested. You have been warned. Now, we got the legalese out the way. Let's get to the episode. And listen, let's start right at the crux of it, the heart of it, the mea culpa. Let me say right here and now that in the previous episode, 123, I came to you, the Lakers season recap episode, and I told you then, I proclaimed, and I said it with conviction, that J.J. Redick, the Lakers rookie head coach, was the man for the job. He was the right hire. The Lakers dodged a bullet avoiding Hurley, and they stumbled into the right guy, and Bron was right about it. And I also said in that very same episode, mea culpa, my folks, mea culpa, I came to you based on the evidence I had seen the entire Lakers season, the 2024-25 Lakers regular season, based on the evidence that I had seen. I came to you last episode and I proclaimed that Austin Reeves, AR-15, Kobe of the Ozarks, whatever you want to call him, I proclaimed that he was, in fact, the third piece of the big three, a Lakers big three. And I said the Lakers had done the right thing by trading D'Lo and keeping Reeves. And I said the Lakers could build a future with a big three that included Austin Reeves, the hillbilly Kobe. And so in light of what I saw in the postseason, I've been given new information, my folks. I've got new data. And based on my observations of the Lakers postseason, I just have to say, I'm so sorry I was wrong. My bad. I jumped the gun and I did the very thing that I said last episode others had done, that I gave him too much credit prematurely. The both of them, I said they had arrived. But what I hadn't taken into account, my folks, is that I was looking at regular season data. And see, that postseason, that's a whole different animal, isn't it? I mean, I'm seeing that. There are guys, and I've seen this all season long, guys who I think they are the next coming in the regular season. But you get them in the postseason, when the lights get brighter and the crowds get more intense and there's only one game on at a time and everybody's focused on you and the stakes are high and you see certain players, they disappear like ghosts. Austin Reeves is a ghost. He's a specter. He's ephemeral, fleeting. Where did he go? Austin Houdini Reeves. Now you see him, now you don't. Well, in the case of the postseason, we didn't see him, not one damn little bit. And so it was definitely a premature proclamation that I made last episode. And I want to say loudly here and now, I see where I was wrong. And trigger alert now. If the Lakers can figure out a way to package Austin Reeves up to improve their team, by all means, do it, Palika, do it immediately, do it as soon as humanly possible. I don't want any disappearing spectral players on the team. I need players that elevate in the postseason. See, there are guys like that too. Buckets, Jimmy Buckets. He plays all right in the regular season, but when the postseason comes around, he elevates, gets bigger. Versus players like Reeves who shrink, get tiny. So the Lakers, they do not have a big three. They have a tiny trio as it stands right now. And let me say, on the same subject when it comes to the head coach of the Lakers. Listen. My folks, listen and hear me well now. Now, I know it may seem a bit drastic to come to you last episode proclaiming JJ Kid Dynamite the answer for the Lakers at head coach, and then to come this very next episode, one episode later, and have a complete reversal. But I've seen new data, my folks. The evidence, it's loud, it's overwhelming. JJ, Kid Dynamite, he shrunk in the postseason. Yeah, pressure bust pipes, you heard it. JJ busted. He withered. He got in his feelings. He got emotional. He started behaving erratically. He was a mess. And the decisions that he made. And then, after making asinine decisions, historic, unprecedented, bad decisions, he doubled down. He didn't take accountability. He didn't look himself in the mirror and say, I was wrong like I'm doing now. He continued right on as though everybody else had it wrong. He doubled down on his bad decisions. And he made what was already a tenuous situation, he made it exponentially worse. And so I don't say this lightly, my folks. I don't randomly and willy-nilly go around calling for heads, but JJ Reddick, Kid Dynamite, his behavior, his coaching display is worthy of termination. Sandman needs to come with his cane and hook him by the back of the collar and drag him out of the building. What J.J. Redick did, Kid Dynamite, it's a fireable offense. And I, for one, wouldn't be upset, not one little bit, if that, in fact, is how it played out, if the axe swung on the Kid Dynamite. Now, I have no illusion that they're going to swing the axe on Kid Dynamite. I don't believe that JJ has I don't believe he has anything to worry about when it comes to job security at this point in time. He's a LeBron hire, and LeBron, after the 5-game dismantling, LeBron came out and spoke effusively in praise of Kid Dynamite, despite the fact that Kid Dynamite tried to run him into the ground. He spoke with glowing praise. And so I imagine that JJ is here to stay for some time, for a while. And likewise, I mean, the undrafted one, he played like a bum. The undrafted AR, I imagine he is also safe. Rumors coming out of Laker camp is he's safe. There's going to be upheaval in the offseason. Lots of people coming and going, a revolving door, but there are untouchables. And word is, the undrafted bum is one of them. Now, maybe that's being a bit harsh because, as I said, in the regular season, he was spectacular. He had a magnificent season. But midnight struck, and he was riding home in a pumpkin mobile. Reeves. So, these are my early takeaways, my folks. And I have to speak on the two star players on the team, Luka the Don and LeBron the King. Let me address them right now. I'll say this about LeBron. The man is playing at an extraordinary level for any NBA player at any point in any career, okay? And then when you factor on top of that the man is 40 years old, playing against kids his children's age, literally playing with his children. It's remarkable that he's still top 10 player in the NBA. He'll be second team All-NBA, right? I imagine. Still a top 10 player in the league in his 22nd season at 40 years old. It is remarkable. And we found out that in that game 5, in that final put them out their misery game, we learned that LeBron, when he banged knees with DiVincenzo, he sprained MCL. So he played through that injury the rest of the way that game. In a game that was going to lead nowhere, because even if they could have found a way to win that game, what did they have left in a game 6? Not much. You could see they were cooked. And Kid Dynamite, the coach, he ensured that, because you see, he panicked. He panicked. We'll get back to that in series analysis. Before LeBron, I'm glad he's on my team. And I hope that he can play a few more years on my team. And I hope that he can somehow rub off on the Big Don. Somehow. Because otherwise, I'm concerned about the Don. So let's turn our attention to the last major piece in this whole saga. Luka Doncic. Wow. All right. Now, hopefully you've seen previous episodes, and you know I have taken the position that whereas I would have also made that trade every day of the year, including the leap day, unlike the majority of the conveyor belt riders, Luka has the halo effect around him. You know, they're going to give him all the credit, none of the blame. I don't have that issue. I see the warts and the blemishes, and I question the effort, and there are things about his game that irritate the hell out of me. I'll just be honest with you. First of all, I don't really care for the slow ball game. Dribble, bounce all the oxygen out the ball. Dribble. You got 4 guys standing around watching Luka dribble, and then finally he'll step back and shoot a 3, or maybe he'll step back and he'll pump fake and throw a pass late in the shot clock. That kind of basketball it's irritating to me. It's boring. It's not a brand of basketball that pulls me in, that's compelling, that's exciting. But, you know, the end of the day, it's wins and losses, L's and dubs. Which one did you get? It's about getting the win. And sometimes you play a different type of game, and you can, if you're successful, okay. But I've seen Luka from afar now for some time, and I admit now he's had spectacular numbers, but I asked this question in an episode or 2 back. It is on the board. It is a possibility that we have already seen the best of Luka. Do you dig, my folks? Do you dig? See, and that's what the all of the halo effectors and all of the conveyor belt riders, the roaches and all of them, they either won't or can't see the very real scenario whereby Luka is a shell of himself and never reaches his previous heights. I think that's absolutely a possibility. That's what Dallas seems to think, that they've already gotten the best out of him. Well, I went in with optimism, as I am wont to do, you know. And I'm willing to look at it just based on the current evidence. I'm not going to project a fanciful future. I'm not going to dwell on what happened before. I'm just looking at the current evidence. What I see is a ball-dominant guy with exceptional basketball talent who doesn't have the work ethic to match it, who lives the sensory life. He likes to eat and drink and smoke and whatnot. Okay? And though he's 26, he looks like he's 40 lumbering around. That's the irony. LeBron is 40 and he's playing like he's 26. And Luka is 26, looking like he's 40. There was a point in time during this series with Minnesota where I said, damn, if this boy don't look like Fred Sanford. Elizabeth, out there on the court. Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. And I said, why is he walking like that? Why is he grabbing his chest? Why is he seems to be having some digestive issues. Okay, and so Game 3 was a critical game in the series. Lakers, Minnesota have split the first of 2. And it's 1-1 going back to Minnesota now. Pivotal. Game 3. Get this one and we wrest control of the series and home court back from the Wolves. And Luka comes out and he's belching, grabbing his heartburn, indigestion. Reminded me of the Pepto-Bismol. You have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, diarrhea. I'm like, what in the hell is going on with this? Well, they said mystery, stomach illness. Game 3, postseason, round 1, first year with the team. They got rid of you in Dallas. They said you're not focused, you're not prepared, that you don't train right, that you don't take it seriously enough. Your work ethic is poor. First chance in the postseason with your new team. Game 3, 1-1. Nausea, heartburn, indigestion. Mystery stomach illness. And because that's all they'll say. That's all we got. And I couldn't help but wonder a little more about the nature of this mystery. I mean, no one else on the team had it but him, so was it something he ate? And I thought, well, he probably likes some good home cooking. Maybe there's a new goulash restaurant that opened near where he lives, and he just had to try it out a couple days before Game 3. And now, nausea, heartburn, indigestion. He comes running out of the tunnel. The team has already started the third quarter. He comes running out like, he nausea, heartburn, and I'm like, do we have an all-NBA 26-year-old, or is this Fred G. Sanford on the team? Who is it on the team? And the G stands for goulash or gastrointestinal. But you see, my folks, this is what I'm talking about with Luka. There's a lot of drama around this dude. He's an emotional dude. He's weeping one moment. He's cursing out fans the next. He's got choice words to say to all the referees. When he hits a shot, he's grinning and taunting. And when he misses, he's cursing out the refs and looking for someone to vent. You got tossed out of a big game down the stretch for cursing out a fan. Come on, man. Now, playoffs, Game 3, pivotal Game 3. Heartburn, diarrhea. What? Was it the goulash, Luka? Or did you get hold of some flat beer, I wonder? Could it be? Or maybe it was bad hookah? I don't know how it works. I'm just asking the question. What was wrong with Luka? What was really wrong with him? And then, that's just the tip of the iceberg with this fellow. Have you seen him play defense? No, me neither. They call him Luka Doncic because there's no D in his name. People, one after the next, during the game, just ask him to dance. They love him. They Luka. You, sir, Luka, care to dance? I've seen him do. Kobe White, Luka, care to dance? Halliburton is clowning him, isn't he? Halliburton, Luka, care to dance? Huh? And so in the Minnesota series, Ant-Man was asking him to be his dance partner, and then Julius Randle wanted to dance with him, and so did Jaden McDaniels. They all wanted a turn to dance, and then what do you know? Rudy! Yes, Rudy Gobert even got in on the fun, dunking on Luka, snatching his dribble strips and steals, and I mean clowning him, but Rudy never cursed at him, and you ain't this and that, and because Rudy seems to be a fairly reserved, dignified individual. Except for when he was spreading COVID all over the microphones. You know how that went down. You remember that, right? But I digress. Point is, Rudy lit the Lakers' ass up. Never did you see him pointing and taunting and cursing and foaming at the mouth and all of that. Meanwhile, Luka G. Sanford, and the G stands for goulash, you know. Luka G, he's waddling and grabbing his heart and his back and indigestion and diarrhea and this is your best player. This is who you want to build your franchise around. Well, what if we've already seen the best of Luka? What if you're trying to build your franchise around memories, around ghosts from the past? What if the Lakers are about to be the LA Mavericks? 4 dudes standing around watching the Luka G show. It's not exciting. And I'll say this. JJ, Kid Dynamite, called him out after it was all over. He said, we've got guys who are in phenomenal shape. Well, we know who that is. And then we got guys who are not in championship shape. And we need to be in championship shape moving forward. And he's right, and I agree with what he said, and we know who he's talking about. Damn sure talking about Luka and maybe AR too. Because he looked weak and wimpy. But funny thing about Kid Dynamite, JJ, he criticizeth. But he is very thin-skinned. Don't say nothing about what he does. Don't ask him. Did you see the guy? You saw. The reporter asked him, hey, man, do you have any assistants you can lean on? Will you be willing to ask them maybe for a little counsel before you do something crazy like not sub out a 40-year-old? And Kid Dynamite said, why would you? Is it because I'm inexperienced? Yes, kid, yes. Is it because I made him? Yes. You're an inexperienced, foolish individual. And he said, that's a weird assumption. And he put the mic down and walked off in a huff. How dare you ask me about my mistakes? You blundering fool. But see, that's what happens when you have that smug arrogance that I know everything and I'm brighter than the brightest of them all. And so when you blunder, when you faux pas, you don't want to hear it, do you? Don't have the humility to say, you know what? I should have handled things differently. I could have handled it better. I'm going to learn from my mistakes. That's what you say, JJ. Not, that's a weird assumption. Very revealing the character of the head coach. I know you can say, well, he's young. Yes, well, he damn sure is inexperienced. But to think that you could play 5 guys the entire second half of a high leverage playoff game without subbing once, and one of them a 40-year-old guy in his 22nd season without subbing once. It's malpractice. It's coaching malfeasance. It is, as I said, a fireable offense, to be sure. They fired coaches for much less of a mistake than that. They fired Mike Brown when he started 1-4. Remember, we talked about this an episode or so back. They fired Pastor Pockets. And he's Pastor Pockets said, hey, man, my first year, I took you to the Western Conference Finals. My second year, we got bounced in the first round, but it was to the same guys, those champions from Denver. I mean, don't I deserve a third crack at it? They said, no, Pastor Pockets. Brown and them not happy with you, and, you know. We want to go with Kid Dynamite. And now look what you've done. So, one can only hope that even though he is too arrogant to admit it, one can only hope that he learned from such a dramatic, such a drastic, such a horrific mistake as what we saw him pull in Game 4. But you know what it was? It was desperation, pure and simple. The dude panicked. Kid Dynamite, he panicked. It reeked of panic and desperation, the move to not sub out. And then when you lost that game, it was over because now you're down 3-1. And in that elimination game, they had nothing left. You've overextended them beyond a day off window to recuperate. So you went all in. I gotta have it. It's all or nothing, and you bottomed out. You put in your last $2, and now you've got to try to hitchhike home. Because you're busted and disgusted with yourself. You ought to be. And another thing about Kid Dynamite, about JJ. What in the hell were you thinking to bench your lone big? Hell wrong with you? What are you trying to prove? May I ask? Okay, so, first of all, there's an expression. You gotta dance with the girl that brung you. You gotta ride the horse that you rode in on. Okay, you... Listen, once the Mark Williams trade was rescinded for whatever the reason, that was a major turning point because, yes, you lost your big, but you turned to Jackson Hayes and you said, okay, big guy, you're gonna be our starting big the rest of the way. We're gonna rely on you now. We X'd out that Mark Williams trade. It didn't work out. We need you to be the guy in the middle. And he said, oh, yes, you can count on me. I'm ready to rumble for you, sir. And so Jackson Hayes starts, for the most part, the back end of the season. And, I mean, honestly, you know, he gets in foul trouble. He'll give you a few points here. There's lobs and dunks here and there. You get a few. He'll have a good game, and then he'll have a disappearing act game. Fair enough, but that's all you got. That's the girl that brung you. Okay? And you, Kid Dynamite, JJ Redick, you get into the postseason after coming all this way with Jackson Hayes as your starting center. You get into the postseason and you decide, because you're brilliant, right, that, hey, we can play small ball. We don't really need a center. Well, kid, that's a questionable decision because your first round matchup is Minnesota. You know who their big is? Do you? They call him the Stifle Tower, the French Rejection. Have you heard of him, Rudy? This man's over 7 feet, a commanding presence. You want to play small? You want to play small, but you want to play slow. This is getting curiouser and curiouser. You want to play small against a playoff opponent with a major big, a 3 or 4 time defensive player of the year big in the middle. You want to play small and you want to play slow. Dribble, 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 dribble. Step back 3. Oh, it's not working today. Let's try it again. Dribble, 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 dribble. Step back 3. Oh, it's not working. Slow ball. Luka, your point guard, who brings the ball up court in such a laborious manner. I'm constantly thinking, is he gonna cross the timeline before it's an 8 count, this guy? Dribble, 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 step back 3. Listen. The ball's gotta move. See, that's that Dallas Mavericks ball. The ball isn't moving. It's dribble, dribble, one man show. Dribble, dribble, dribble. It's a bad idea. But you gotta dance with the girl that brung you. So, you know, let's do the best we can. And you decide you want to bench your only big. The only one. You want to instead go with Doe. So now, because Dorian Finney-Smith is in your lineup, he's one of your main 5 now. That means Bron, 40-year-old, 22nd season LeBron James is banging with Rudy Gobert at the 5? Oh, no. This is the strategy? And so, as we saw it unfold, Jackson Hayes gets 6 or 7, 8 minutes per game in game 1 and game 2 and game 3. That's it. He starts and then very quickly he's out. So Kid Dynamite JJ can get right to his preferred lineup. And that's Rui and Doe and Bron and Luka and the putrid one. Oh, Hillbilly Kobe himself. The man who, I told you last episode, I sent out a message to Austin Reeves, remember? Because right before the playoffs started, he's boasting about his golf handicap and proclaiming everyone watch the Masters and white players don't get the credit they deserve. And I said last episode, Reeves, no, you don't need to be watching the Masters. You need to be watching film. You got a tough opponent coming in Minnesota. Cut off his water. I know he's thirsty as hell. They probably need an IV for Reeves. He was so dehydrated they shut his water off. The Masters. His golf handicap. I'm like, man, you stealing money out here. And usually, if a player is having a bad offensive game, you expect them to compensate in some other way. Give me some rebounds, be an assist maker, do something. No, this dude is just floating around out there, missing shots and doing nothing. His plus minus is in the toilet. And yet, the head coach, Kid Dynamite, he only wants to play 5 guys. I said, oh, they're in trouble. I knew then. See, I knew, okay, after game 1, I said, hey, Lakers, remember the quote? J.J. Redick, he said that we weren't ready for the physicality. Oh, wait, what? You weren't ready for the physicality? Who? Luka and AR, maybe? A peculiar thing to say. And he even added, if you know what I mean. No, I don't know. What do you mean? But they got jumped in game 1. Okay, that's fine. You just come back. You assert yourself in game 2. Take back control of the series. That's all you got to do. And they did that. And game 2 was a banger of a game. A lot of defense. First time all season the Lakers won a game when they scored less than 100 points. And I said, now, okay, it's 1-1. Now, we go back to Minnesota in this game, game 3. It's critical. Let's recapture home field advantage and get up in the series. And that was the nausea, heartburn, indigestion. That was the goulash game. Bad goulash, I bet. And there have been reports. I don't know. I can't say. I don't know. I've only heard these rumors. But there have been reports that there is some tension between Bron and Don, or the king and the goulasher. There's some reports of sort of a rift, lack of communication. I don't know. I mean, the grass is always greener. Bron always looked at Luka with great admiration until he got paired up on the same team. Now he's probably looking at him like, this goulash-eating fool. Beer and goulash, huh? Now you got indigestion. Now you need, some gastrointestinal medication. And an extra pair of Laker shorts for game 3. And I said, oh no. And in that game, Luka only put up 17. And, there was also criticism because he had a game where he had, I think it was 38, but he only had 1 or 2 assists. And people said, hey, man, you're not getting anybody else involved. Dribble, 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 step back three. It's very predictable. And you saw in the elimination game, you saw on multiple occasions, he tried that dribble, step back three, and they swatted that shit. Get that shit out of here. Swat, block. He almost ate one of his own 3-point attempts. Because they know we seen that's your move. Dribble, dribble. You're dribbling, dribbling, dribbling. Step back three. Oh, almost made him swallow that one. So, my concern, my folks, ultimately is, have we seen the best of Luka, the Don, Luka G? Have we seen the best of him already? Now, it's possible he comes back next season, and over the summer, he works out with resolve. He gets with Bron. He follows a new regimen. He gets himself together. He gets his mentals right. And he comes out and goes on a tear and leads the Lakers to prosperity. That is a possibility, and it's on the board, and I hope that's the case. But it is also on the board that this dude comes out fumbling and stumbling and bloated and injured and ball dominant and emotional and surly and the whole nine. All the technicals and you've seen now what a Luka flameout looks like. Because all the other people, see, they thought it couldn't happen. Oh, Luka, he always plays big. You saw what happened against the damn Celtics. We'll talk about around the NBA in a minute. I've already gone too long. I got a whole series analysis. I guess I won't even get to it, my folks, in the interest of time. But you saw what happened to the Dallas Mavericks against the C's last season, and now you've seen it again. You've seen Luka G flame out. And yes, he might put up 30, but it's a stagnant, stale offense. It's predictable. And if that step back three isn't dropping, they're cooked. And you want to invest in the Lakers' future and hope and pray that for the next 10 years you can just sink resources into that. Well, I hope it works out. I do. But consider me among those who you got to show me, okay? Because you telling me what he used to be is not helping me today. I'm very curious to see what Luka comes back and how he performs next season. So, I don't know what petty grievance JJ has with Jackson Hayes. I don't know what he did to him or said to him or whatever the problem is, but you, coach, you cut off your nose to spite your face. And by you taking that petulant attitude and refusing to play the lone big you had, a young man that could have provided some resistance against Rudy, you put the whole operation at risk. And the Lakers' boat had holes in it already, as you know, and so they became the leakers instead of the Lakers because the boat had too many holes to stay afloat. And in the midst of that trauma, you decided to throw the anchor overboard. Trying to prove a point, I went back and looked at it. What happened the last time we saw Jackson? He had a couple of rebounds. He had a couple assists. He had a couple of points. He was playing hard. And Rudy fouled him and he fouled Rudy and they kind of got into it. And They called a quick foul on him, and he was pissed off because he felt Rudy instigated it and had some words, and they hit him with a T. And why, Kid Dynamite JJ was so aghast, so offended by the fact that he had a foul and a technical, he pulled him and he never played Jackson Hayes again the rest of the series. And I said, man, what is wrong? But he knew that he was in a terrible spot. So he tried to compensate by, he said, come on, Maxi Kleber, you haven't played in 6 months, have you? Come on. You big giant dude, you come and stand out here and foul a couple of people. You'd rather bring Maxi Kleber in a elimination game situation than the guy that was starting for you all this time? What are you so mad at Hayes for? Kid Dynamite, why? It's a fireable offense. A whole second half for LeBron James, no substitutions. Austin Reeves playing like pure garbage, no substitution. Luka coming off the nausea, heartburn, indigestion, no substitution. Undersized dough. And you know who really was the big three of the series? It was Luka, LeBron, and Hachi Rui. That's who became. Rui was the most important third person on the Lakers roster. And I've heard a lot of people speculating about trade packages with Rui. You need to trade Reeves. Not Rui. Rui shows up in the postseason. Those are the type of players you want on your roster. Players who play bigger, who elevate, not those who shrink and disappear. Yeah, bye-bye. You're going about it ass backwards if you trade Rui and keep Reeves. That's crazy. Like benching Jackson Hayes to play Maxi Kleber. That's madness. That's nuts, insanity, lunacy, my folks. It is a fireable offense. So, in the interest of time, I have a whole game, series analysis, 5 games of details and notes of interest. We don't have the time to get to any of it. I'm not going to do it. But what I will say, I think the points have been made with enough clarity that I don't have to give you the numbers, but trust, I do have the numbers. I've got the data right here to back up everything I'm saying to you. So, let's quickly move to a look around the NBA. Now, I just want to say the NBA playoffs have been magnificent. Remember way back in the day, well, maybe you don't, they used to say the NBA is fantastic. It is fantastic. These playoffs have been spectacular. The only way it could be better is if the Lakers were still playing, but I don't want to even get started again on that. Let them rest in peace. But so far in round 2, every home team has lost. The higher seed has lost to the road team. Right now, as of this recording, it's 5-0 road team. And Halliburton just snatched the heart out of Cleveland. That was for you. He snatched your heart out your chest. Halliburton. I'm impressed with the Pacers. I'm impressed with Halliburton. I think it was unnecessary and small for them to vote on overrated player. Halliburton is not overrated, okay? He's a damn good player. And so he's showing Cleveland that right now, as he said, overrate that. And then the Joker. Wow, now the Joker is free from Zubac. See, Zubac had the Joker in chains, but the Joker still was getting them little triple doubles, but he was getting 13, 12, and 11 kind of triple doubles. But now, against OKC, without Zubac having him in chains, the Joker broke loose. And so we'll see how it all plays out. And I have to say this. I put out the call an episode or two back. I said, much like the brother in the NFL, I said, will somebody, anybody, please stop Boston. Stop them. Don't let them keep getting away with this. I don't like how they play. I don't like all the 3-pointers and that carefree, la la ha ha attitude. We'll just shoot threes all day. Well, see, that's the thing, though. You live by the 3. You can die by it. And against New York, and maybe the tricks or tricks no more, I am rooting for New York in this series with Boston. And in game 1, in the third quarter, the C's put up, I believe, 19 of 21 shots were 3-pointers. 19 of 21. Just bombs away. You deserve to lose. You deserve to lose. And they did. And I hope that that trend continues as well. And, well, look at Golden State. See, that's why I don't feel too broken up about the Lakers, because the Lakers really aren't that good of a team. As an individual player, sure, I give Luka credit. Bron, magnificent, all-time great. But as a team, you see, Austin Reeves couldn't handle what McDaniels and Julius Randle and those guys were throwing at him. He couldn't deal with that. And so, you've got now with Golden State, you've got a team they can stack up against. See, yeah, you got Randle and Ant-Man, but they got buckets. And Steph was hurt in this last game, so I don't know how that's going to play out. That could absolutely change everything if he's out for an extended period. But all these series have been super entertaining to watch. And so in the end, I just want to leave you with this, my folks. Steve Kerr, coach of Golden State, he went 13 players deep in his rotation in their game 1 against Minnesota. 13 deep! Contrast that to Kid Dynamite. JJ, he insisted on just 5. Just 5. I'll just run with 5. That's all I want to play. I just feel like I can only trust these 5. A grievous error. Now, who do you think is a better coach? Steve Kerr or JJ? There's a reason. What J.J. Redick did has never been done before. There's a reason. And it should never be done again. And as I have stated on more than one occasion, it is a fireable offense. All right. I think it's enough said. Well, one more thing. JJ, you need to incorporate, not alienate. See, what you did with Jackson Hayes, you alienated him when you could have used the talents that he does have. Now, there is no hope for Jackson Hayes with the Lakers. You alienated players that you needed. That's bad coaching. To try to prove a point, take a lesson from Steve Kerr. Use your roster. Use your rotation. Give guys a breather. Don't be a fool. All right. I want to go ahead and quickly, and let me say this. Big Perk, I like Big Perk. Big Perk's always talking about chicken wings, but beyond that, I do like Big Perk, and he let both JJ and Luka have it, and rightfully and deservedly so, for the both of them. Get your minds right, both of you. And Luka, get your body right. Get your wind right. Cut the smoking out and the drinking. You need to eat right. Leave the goulash alone, Luka. During the season. Wait for the off season like now. Let me give you my final Laker grades. I came to you and I said JJ deserved an A based on the regular season. I have to make an addendum to that. He deserves a D minus for the postseason. So I'm going to give him an overall C minus for the year. I'm going to give Luka a C plus. Overall, a lot of drama. The defense is atrocious. The blow-bys, 9 blow-bys that they counted in one game, I believe. He's just like a turnstile, like a revolving door. Hey, Luka, care to dance? Everybody's favorite dance partner, Luka G. The goulash is on me. And then LeBron, I'm going to give him a B plus, considering everything, the injuries and the age and the mileage. He performed spectacularly to be second team All-NBA. And then Rob Pelinka, I'm going to give you a B because this is an incomplete situation, and we'll see. That really needs to be reserved and see how the offseason plays out. But that Mark Williams trade is very curious. I'd love to get more information about that. What really went down, you know what I'm saying? And then finally, Austin Reeves. Hillbilly Kobe. Listen. You don't get enough credit because you don't deserve it, man. See? And if you are really that intent on playing golf, maybe you should give up your roster spot on the Lakers and go join the PGA Tour and steal money on the golf circuit instead of on the Lakers. My boy. I'm going to give Austin Reeves a C minus, considering his fine regular season and abysmal postseason. I'll average it out. Same as JJ. I give Austin Reeves A plus for the regular season, D minus for the postseason. I'll give him a C minus overall. And so before I wrap it up, just one final note about them damn Minnesota Timberwolves. You know, Minnesota is ripe to be beat. Okay, Minnesota, you see all these threes they take and miss. I mean, Ant-Man was 0 for 11. 0 for 11 from 3 in the elimination game, and they still beat the Lakers. And this first game against Golden State, he was 0 for 11 from the field before he scored his first point. I mean, they're shooting terrible from 3. The Timberwolves shot 50% from 3 their first game against the Lakers. And in the second game, it was 25%, and they were falling off a cliff ever since, and they are shooting horribly. It's just that the Lakers weren't good enough to take advantage of them. But see, Golden State, they jumped right on them. And you saw Ant-Man trolling the Lakers, walking around the crypt, talking about Batman, Superman, Ant-Man, Lakers in 5. Hey, really trolling Big Buck Huck. And all this turmoil that Huck is in, I'm sure you've seen that. Well, I'm not going to go into Big Buck Huck in this episode. I mean, that's going to have to be another subject for another day. But suffice it to say, what you're seeing in real time is what happens to bucks that lust after Satan's daughters. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say on that. And so, my friends, until the next one, which won't be too long from this one, it'll, maybe during the course of the NBA playoffs or the off season or before the NFL kicks off again, at some point I'll be back. But until then, my friends, what I'm going to ask now from you, what I'm going to ask you to do is throw me one of these, please. Like the video, leave me a comment if you're so inclined. Subscribe if you haven't already. And then until the next one, which won't be too long from this one, Scotty says, thank you for watching. One love.